Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and about 6 months ago, I put out a video sharing my experiences getting rid of acid reflux through the use of apple cider vinegar. Now, even though Serious Keto is first and foremost a keto cooking channel, this particular video has consistently been one of my most popular videos. Every day, I get a handful of the same questions or comments on this video. There's probably about a dozen different questions or comments that I get on a regular basis, enough so that I felt it would make sense to do this follow-up video responding to each of those. One thing I want to get out of the way, right away, is I am not a medical professional. Nothing that I say constitutes medical advice. I'm just relating my own experience. Your mileage may vary. Here's a glass of my tonic. Starts to grow on you after a while. So probably the most common sort of question, statement, misconception that I get about this apple cider vinegar tonic is, why would you want to create more acid in your stomach? Well, you want your stomach to be acidic. That's the start of the entire digestion process. Well, I guess chewing is the start of the digestion process. If you don't have enough acid in your stomach to start breaking down the food, when it goes through the intestines, you're not going to absorb it as well. I had a lot of digestive issues before getting on this tonic. And brace yourself for a little too much information. That was evident after a bowel movement. When I would look and see the results, there were things going through my body that were not getting digested. And that's all I'm going to say about that, aside from the fact that I believe that is a result of food not being broken down in my stomach due to a lack of acid. The other side effect of a lack of acid is the pyloric sphincter at the top of your stomach, or my stomach, would not close up. And as a result, acid would come up, get into my esophagus. There's your reflux. By increasing the amount of acid in my stomach through apple cider vinegar, now things are working great. Pyloric sphincter closing, I'm not getting that acid up in my esophagus. The next handful of questions are going to be on medication. And just to give you a little bit of background, I probably suffered symptoms of GERD or acid reflux for probably 5 years before I got on any sort of real medication. I was going through antacids, like Tums or Rolaids. I was going through those like they were candy. I was eating fistfuls of those a day before I saw a doctor. And the reason I saw a doctor is not because of the reflux, but because of a persistent sort of tickle cough that I had going on that just wouldn't go away for a year. So I wound up going to an ear, nose, and throat specialist who looked down my throat and saw that I had reflux. And what was happening is I would cough and I would get a little spritz of acid that would come up into my esophagus, which would irritate my esophagus and cause me to cough. And we just had this sort of vicious circle going on. So at that point, I got on, I believe it was omeprazole or whatever the brand name was. It could have been, Prilosec, it might have been Prevacid, something like that. But that's when I started officially being prescribed medication. And that went on for at least 5 years before I found that omeprazole just wasn't effective enough for me anymore, and my doctor moved me to pantoprazole. And in that earlier video, the original apple cider vinegar video I did, I talk about some of the long-term side effects of using these drugs, in particular pantoprazole. Not good. So that gets into the meds question. The first question I get is, should I keep taking the meds once I start drinking the tonic? And again, remember, I'm not a doctor here, I'm just explaining my experience. And in my experience, the answer would be no, because those two things are fighting each other. You've got a drug that's trying to stop acidity, and then you've got a tonic where you're trying to increase acidity. So at least in my mind, it seems counterproductive to keep taking the meds once you start taking the tonic. Now be aware, there's going to be a rough patch. For me, it was probably day 3 to 5 or day 4 to 6 where I was really feeling some reflux. The tonic hadn't completely kicked in, but the meds had kind of kicked out. It wasn't a lot of fun. I was close to wanting to quit. I was ready to give up and just go back to taking pills, but I soldiered through, and I'm glad that I did. Another common question on medication is, should I dial back or try and wean myself off of medication before starting the tonic? My experience was I was on 40 milligrams of pantoprazole per day. Once I started going keto with a ketogenic diet, I was able to dial back to 20 milligrams per day and not have any symptoms. I believe that is largely due to the elimination of sugars and grains. I'm not saying that you need to go full out keto in order to achieve these sort of benefits, but sugars and grains are inflammatory, they're not good for your body, and getting off of those I know helped. And one of the reasons I know this as well is probably 10 years ago, I read the book Wheat Belly, and I decided for just 1 month that I was going to go wheat free. This was back at a time when I was still taking omeprazole. So I was taking omeprazole and still having some mild reflux effects, and went grain-free for 30 days. After 30 days, someone brought in croissants to work, and I had a croissant, and almost immediately I had reflux. And that was while I was on omeprazole. That was kind of what led me then to get onto pantoprazole. But what I'm saying here in a nutshell is I believe that, at least for me, grains played a big role in my reflux. So if you're looking to start weaning yourself off of medication, one of the first things I would consider doing is eliminating grains from your diet and see if that starts to help. I've also had some keto people say, how do you know it just wasn't keto that made you better? How do you know that the apple cider vinegar helped you at all? And certainly for some people, when they go keto, they don't need any sort of additional tonic or anything like that. Their reflux just heals. Wasn't the case for me, and perhaps it's because I had such chronic acid reflux for such a long period of time. Certainly keto helped, but it didn't get me free and clear. And the reason I know this is because if I go more than about 3 days now without having the tonic, I will still start to get some mild reflux symptoms. And in a little while, I'll tell you what happened when I went 4 days without having the tonic. And this really kind of leads me to the next question that I often get, which is, do you still drink it twice a day? No. Generally now I have it about every other day. Sometimes I'll have it daily, but I never do it twice a day. I find that every other day is perfect for me right now. Maybe at some point I can get to every third day, every fourth day, once a week, and maybe I don't need to take it at all at some point. But I had one experience where for whatever reason, it just slipped my mind that I hadn't been drinking it. And I went 4 days without drinking it, and I was lying in bed at 2 in the morning, and I literally had an acid backup all the way up to my mouth. It was kind of like throwing up, but without the stomach contraction. It was like a drain backing up. I was laying in bed, sleeping, and this is a horrible, horrible way to wake up, when you literally feel stomach acid come up your esophagus and into your mouth. So, I ran into the bathroom and kind of like spit it out, and immediately went to the fridge, poured myself a glass of tonic, laid down on a recliner so I was elevated. 2 hours later, I was fine. So I still need the tonic. It's not something that I can go without. I hope that one day maybe I can. If I can't, that's not the worst thing in the world. Some people have stated, well, why should I bother with something that I'm going to have to do every day if I already have to take a pill every day? Fine, if that's the way you want to go. I mean, if you want to keep giving money to Big Pharma for something that is not natural versus healing yourself with food, which is natural, that's your prerogative. Me, I would far rather just drink a tonic that has not only the effect of eliminating my acid reflux, but if you get out and you Google apple cider vinegar benefits, you're going to see that on the whole, this is some healthy stuff. It's good for you. If I have to drink it the rest of my life, I'm okay with that. Far better than taking pills for the rest of my life. A lot of people want to know, when should they drink this? I can tell you that I drink it on an empty stomach, up to 30 minutes prior to a meal. I'm not saying that's the perfect way to do it. That just sort of happens to be the way that I do it. I tend to practice intermittent fasting, which means I don't usually eat my first meal until 3 or 4 on any given day. So most of the time, I'm operating on an empty stomach, and that just happens to be when I consume the tonic. A number of people want to know, do they need to make the recipe the same way that I make the recipe? Or can they just drink the apple cider vinegar in water? The answer is the active ingredient in this is the apple cider vinegar. Now, the other ingredients may have some health benefits. You know, the pink Himalayan sea salt is so that I can get some more minerals and electrolytes into my system. Lemon juice has benefits, cinnamon has benefits. Honestly, most of that stuff is in there just so that it tastes a little bit better. Make it a little bit more palatable, a little bit easier to drink. I've tried doing a straight up shot glass of apple cider vinegar. That is really unpleasant. I would say at the very least, dilute it with some water, add some sweetener, makes it just a little bit less tart. A common comment that I get is, I made this, I drank it, and it burned my throat. Yep. Expect that to happen early on. Your esophagus is probably damaged by your stomach acid, and apple cider vinegar is a little bit acidic. Not nearly as acidic as your stomach acid, but enough so that if your esophagus is already irritated, it's going to hurt a little bit until your esophagus heals. It's something you got to just kind of fight through. I think it lasted a few weeks for me, maybe. Now it feels great. I drink it, nothing. Just understand that while apple cider vinegar is acidic, it's not so acidic that it is going to hinder the healing process of your esophagus. Fight through it, you'll be glad you did. There have also been a fraction of people that have told me that when they drink this, it really hurts their stomach very badly. If that is the case for you, stop drinking this tonic and find out if you have an ulcer. If you have an ulcer, you need to get that ulcer healed before you drink this stuff, or you're going to be in a lot of pain. Lastly, I've had a few people tell me that their reflux has been caused by a hiatal hernia, and they want to know if this will fix things for them. I don't have the answer to that. I had surgery a number of years ago for an inguinal hernia, and when the doctor got up inside me, he saw that I also had a hiatal hernia. So he fixed both. I got two for the price of one. So I personally don't have a hiatal hernia anymore, and I'm afraid I can't answer that question. Certainly you can give this a try. What do you have to lose? It's now been almost 7 months since I have taken any sort of acid reflux medication. And the only times that I have had anything resembling reflux is when I quit drinking the tonic. I can't guarantee you that you're going to have results like I had, but let me tell you, it is life-changing if you do. It is such a tremendous feeling to be able to get off of medication and to know that you're doing things that are healing your body. I hope that if you decide to try out this tonic, that you have the same success that I did. As I said, it is absolutely life-changing. And I will include the recipe down below in the description for how to make a pitcher of this tonic. I used to make it just 1 glass at a time, but then I decided I can make a pitcher of it. That winds up working out to about 6 glasses, pint size with some ice in it. I hope this video answered any questions you may have had after watching that first video. And if you like this video, click that like button. If you're curious to know more about keto, hit subscribe. Watch some of my other videos. Thanks for watching.